Rain poured over downtown Chicago. People hurried beneath umbrellas. A man carrying the hand of his 8-year-old daughter stopped outside the magnificent entrance of the Grand Meridian Hotel. Its golden lights reflected across the wet pavement. Guests in expensive suits walked through the revolving doors. Luxury cars lined the curb. The little girl looked up. "Dad, are we really staying here tonight?" The man smiled. "We are." After 12 hours of driving, it was finally time to rest. His name was Daniel Brooks, a widowed father, a successful entrepreneur, but tonight, he looked nothing like the wealthy businessman he really was. His jeans were dusty from the road. His jacket was soaked by the rain. His daughter Sophie hugged a small backpack tightly. Together, they stepped into the elegant lobby. Conversation stopped for just a second. Several guests glanced at them, then quietly looked away. Daniel approached the reception desk. "Good evening. I'd like a room for my daughter and me." The young receptionist smiled politely. Before she could answer, the hotel manager walked over. He looked Daniel up and down. His smile disappeared. "I'm sorry. We're fully booked." Daniel nodded calmly. "I understand. But your website still shows available suites." The manager didn't even look at the computer. "I said we're full." Daniel glanced around the lobby. Guests were still checking in. Keys were being handed out. A family walked away laughing with their luggage. His daughter whispered, "Dad, I thought there were rooms." Daniel gently squeezed her hand. "It's okay. We'll figure it out." The manager folded his arms. "I'll have to ask you to step aside. You're blocking the line." Several people in the lobby began watching. Some took out their phones. Nobody knew. The man standing quietly in front of the reception desk wasn't just another traveler. He was scheduled to inspect the hotel that very evening, and before the night was over, the manager would discover he had just refused a room. To the owner of the hotel, the lobby grew unusually quiet. People pretended not to stare, but almost everyone was watching. Daniel looked at the manager. His voice remained calm. "I don't want any special treatment. I only want the room that's available." The manager forced a smile. "Sir, I've already explained. We're completely booked." Daniel slowly turned toward the reception screen. He noticed something. Every time the receptionist searched the reservation system, several rooms appeared in green. Available. The young receptionist looked nervous. She glanced at the manager, then quickly lowered her eyes. Something wasn't right. Sophie gently tugged on Daniel's sleeve. "Dad, did we do something wrong?" Daniel knelt beside her. "No, sweetheart. You've done nothing wrong. Sometimes people make decisions before they know the whole story." She nodded quietly, although she didn't fully understand. She trusted her father. A black limousine stopped outside the hotel. The doorman rushed to open the door. A wealthy businessman stepped out. The manager's attitude changed instantly. "Welcome back, Mr. Anderson. We've prepared your executive suite." The receptionist hesitated. "But we just told this gentleman we're fully booked." The manager whispered, "Move another reservation." The receptionist looked confused. "But that family already confirmed their booking." "I said move them." Daniel heard every word. He didn't interrupt. He simply watched. Within minutes, a young couple approached the desk. "We have a reservation under Michael Carter." The receptionist typed their name. Her face fell. "I'm terribly sorry. It seems there's been a system issue." The couple looked shocked. "We booked 3 months ago." The manager stepped in. "We'll find another hotel for you." The couple left disappointed. Sophie looked at her father. "Dad, they gave away their room." Daniel nodded slowly. "I know." Instead of arguing, Daniel reached into his backpack. He removed a small black notebook. He quietly wrote, 8:17 p.m. Confirmed available rooms denied. 8:21 p.m. Reservation displaced for VIP guest. 8:23 p.m. Reception staff appeared pressured. The manager noticed. "What are you writing?" Daniel smiled. "Just observations." The manager laughed. "Planning to leave us a bad review?" Daniel closed the notebook. "Something like that." A bell attendant named Alex approached Daniel while the manager was distracted. He lowered his voice. "Sir, I'm sorry. This isn't how we're supposed to treat guests." Daniel looked at him. "How long have you worked here?" "Almost 4 years." "And is this normal?" Alex hesitated, then quietly nodded. "It started after the new manager took over. He only cares about VIP guests. If someone doesn't look wealthy, they're treated differently." Daniel thanked him. "You've been very honest." Alex smiled sadly. "I just wish someone important would notice." Daniel looked around the lobby, then quietly replied, "Maybe someone already has." Daniel stepped outside with Sophie. The rain had finally stopped. City lights reflected on the wet sidewalk. Sophie looked up. "Are we leaving?" Daniel smiled. "Not yet." He took out his phone. This wasn't an angry call. There was no shouting, no threats, only one sentence. "Please ask the Regional Quality Director and the Board's Hospitality Standards Committee to meet me in the Grand Meridian lobby within 1 hour." The person on the other end answered immediately. "Yes, Mr. Brooks." "We'll be there." Daniel put the phone away. Sophie smiled. "Everything's going to be okay?" He held her hand. "It always is. When we let the truth speak for itself." Back inside. The manager watched Daniel return to the lobby. He smirked. "Couldn't find another hotel?" Daniel calmly sat in one of the leather chairs. "We'll wait." The manager shrugged. "Suit yourself." He had no idea. Within the next 60 minutes, the people walking through those front doors would completely change his career. Exactly 58 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled up to the hotel's main entrance. The doorman immediately opened the doors. 5 people stepped out. 2 wore tailored business suits. 1 carried a leather portfolio. Another wore an identification badge that read Regional Quality Director. The manager frowned. "What's going on?" The receptionist looked just as confused. The group walked straight through the lobby, not toward the front desk, not toward the elevators. They stopped directly in front of Daniel. The oldest man extended his hand. "Good evening, Mr. Brooks. We came as soon as we received your call." The entire lobby fell silent. The manager blinked. "You know him?" The regional director turned slowly. "Of course. He owns this hotel." No one spoke. The manager looked at Daniel, then at the executives, then back again. "That's impossible." Daniel stood calmly. "I rarely visit without notice. I prefer to experience the hotel the same way any guest would." He looked around the lobby. "So I can see the truth." The receptionist covered her mouth. Alex, the bell attendant, quietly smiled. The manager forced a nervous laugh. "There must be some misunderstanding." The regional director opened the portfolio. Inside was Daniel's official ownership documentation and company identification. Everything was verified. The manager's face turned pale. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He simply asked one question. "Would someone explain why my daughter and I were refused a room while available rooms were reassigned to VIP guests?" No one answered. Daniel turned toward the receptionist. "You won't be blamed for telling the truth." She hesitated, then quietly said, "The hotel wasn't full. We were instructed to reserve the best rooms for guests who looked more valuable." The lobby became uncomfortably quiet. The manager interrupted. "I was trying to maximize revenue." Daniel looked at him. "By breaking confirmed reservations." The manager remained silent. Daniel continued. "And by deciding who deserves hospitality based on appearance." Again, no answer. The regional director addressed the staff. "Effective immediately, we'll begin a full operational review." Reservation logs were printed. Security footage was secured. Guest complaints from the past 6 months were reviewed. The investigation lasted several days. The findings revealed a troubling pattern. Confirmed bookings had been moved to accommodate preferred guests. Staff had been pressured to judge customers by appearance rather than reservation status. Guest satisfaction scores had quietly declined, while complaints had been dismissed instead of addressed. Daniel listened without interrupting. He wasn't surprised. He had seen similar patterns in other businesses before. At the end of the review, the board met with the manager. After considering the findings, they decided he would no longer continue in his leadership role. Several supervisors were also required to complete additional training for failing to address repeated guest complaints. The board approved new company-wide standards. Every confirmed reservation would be honored. No guest would receive different treatment based on appearance. All employees would receive customer service and ethics training. A confidential reporting system would allow staff to raise concerns without fear of retaliation. The focus wasn't punishment. It was rebuilding trust. Later that evening, Daniel and Sophie finally checked into their room. She stood by the window looking out at the city lights. "Dad,"
Were you angry? Daniel smiled. A little. So why didn't you yell? He sat beside her. Because shouting doesn't solve problems.
Listening does, and if you're in a position to make things better, that's what you should do. Sophie thought for a moment. So today wasn't really about getting a room. Daniel laughed softly. No. It was about making sure the next family never has to go through what we did. 6 months passed. The Grand Meridian Hotel looked different. Staff greeted every guest with the same respect. Reservation errors had dropped dramatically.
Guest satisfaction reached its highest level in years. Alex, the former bell attendant, had been promoted to guest experience manager. The young receptionist now trained new employees. Her first lesson was always the same. Treat every guest as if they're the most important person in the building. Because they are. One evening, Daniel walked through the lobby again, this time without announcing who he was. A family entered, soaked from the rain. Their clothes were simple. Their children looked exhausted. Before they could say a word, a receptionist smiled warmly. Welcome. We've been expecting you. We're so glad you're here. Daniel smiled quietly. No one recognized him, and that was exactly how he wanted it. As he walked toward the elevator, the narrator spoke one final time. Luxury is not measured by chandeliers or marble floors. It's measured by how people are treated when no one knows who they are. The screen slowly faded to black. Character welcomes everyone. Assumptions close doors.